Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Shooting the Shelf here on Just Shelve It. I'm Jesse Arnold, and co-pilot with me, as always, this evening is the one and only Curtis Ackerman. How's it going, Curtis?
Going good. Hey, everybody.
We got a couple folks out in the chat. Thanks for being here tonight, giving us some time on your Sunday evening. Let's just jump right into it and get our shelf selections going here. Oh, if I can hit the right buttons. I know how to use technology.
There you go.
All right. Curtis, why don't you lead us into our first slide this week?
Yeah, this is at Chrono4, which is Nate Strong. He does this photography and then he'll put little kind of stories behind it. I just loved this shot. It's incorporating a lot of different things from the community. You've got, I believe that's a planetary dog toys head there that's painted. Obviously that Magnus body that is, so iconic. And then you've got one of the Alexander Deshaw fountains there kind of in the front. And, with this story, it's kind of like this, this person is kind of pondering things before going into battle. And like, you look at this photo and without even reading what he put on there, you can see that in this photo. So,
absolutely.
Lately on the selections, done a lot of painting ones that I've seen. This week, I noticed quite a few photography shots that I was like, man, I really need to put that in there. So this one came out really well.
Very nice. Yeah, I saw this one as well. I grabbed probably a dozen pictures during the week for these. It's always hard to narrow it down, but yeah, this one's great.
Yeah, that's the toughest part about this shelf selection has been the narrowing down process, because now that I'm so attuned to, trying to recognize when I see something that really makes me stop and look at it, I'm like, oh, that'd be a great shelf selection. And then I'm like, well, I can't have 15 of them. So, we gotta narrow it down. So that's been the toughest part, but this one definitely had to make the cut.
Excellent. Yeah, no, this one's great. My pick, it's a couple pictures just because I didn't know how best to show this and get their post in from Sir Valor in Mythic Legions Cabal. I'm not sure what I can't remember if I saw this on Instagram or not, but I just saw this snakehead female figure and I just thought it was really cool. The full size picture on the right reminds me of like a Frank Cho drawing from comics he did of like Deja Thoris or something from a Conan book. Just the way that pose was and everything, and I just thought that was too cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wonder if that's a soft good that they found somewhere or made or whatever.
I think they made it. Yeah, if you
like
check out their post,
that pose with the, you've got all the different parts of that flying up in the background. Yeah, that's a really good shot.
I think if you take a look at the full post in the Cabal under SER space Valor, if you can find that, I'm pretty sure it was in there that he shows like all the steps, like how he cut out the soft goods and put the wiring on it and everything. So yeah,
That's awesome.
It was a really in-depth set of pictures.
Yeah, I love the creativity there.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I selected. This is Articulated Times, which I believe is pronounced. It's Steve Menk in the Cabal, and I just thought this was a really good shot. And he did some where he kind of does some photos that are kind of back so that you can see how he's setting up the shot, and then just the way that this came together. It's kind of like that fog rolling in and here's Malleus just coming out of the woodwork, like, ready to take somebody out. And I just thought this was awesome. Like, I looked at this and I'm like, man, this is like stuff of Walter's dreams right here.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I really liked that.
My next one is from Joe Gonsalves. He's out here in the chat tonight, but I saw this picture and it just, again, didn't want to just focus on just painting stuff. And I was like, you know what? Everybody's got different setups. And I don't know. This one just really struck me for some reason this week. Just seeing the setup and him getting inspired to get back into everything. He did a really awesome post of a custom that he worked on this week. You can check it out. But yeah, check out Joe_G.customs on Instagram or Joe Gonsalves in the Cabal on Facebook. But yeah, Yeah, I don't know. I like seeing people's workspaces.
Yeah, and I saw his interview on I believe it was Legion's Lounge, and kind of talking about his style and getting back into things, and so I was really happy to see this. I know myself. Right after Legion's Con, I went into kind of a little bit of a funk where I didn't really do anything for a couple months, and part of that process of getting back into it is really having a nice workspace that's organized enough that you can get into it. And that's usually one of the things that's kind of a barrier to entry to me. Like if I want to go paint, but then I look at my workstation and it's a mess.
Yeah.
If I just start by cleaning up and organizing my workstation, that usually will lead me into getting to paint. So
nice.
But yeah, it looks nice. And this one, I see Trevor's in the chat. This is from 1/6 Shooter. Just another great shot. I love when I see photos with Mythic Legion figures and you look at a shot like this and you can't tell that it's a toy. You know 100%. What I'm saying? Like it's just set up in a way, they're posed to where you're not seeing the joints. It's got a great look. The everything in the background is so proportionally correct to the figures themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it just creates a shot to where it looks like it could be out of a video game or some sort of like a, what is it, CGI movie or something.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just one of those where I looked at it and I was like, this is just an awesome scene. Like if this was a movie, I'd want to see this movie.
Yep.
So
I'd be there opening night.
Yeah. So great job, Trevor.
Yes.
And I will say that this picture does it justice.
Yes. Let's see. And here's another one. It's a photography piece. Jim's fave figs on Instagram. Big Star Wars fan, but just Ahsoka is one of my favorites. So seeing, as soon as I saw that shot with all the helmets and the wreckage in the background, I was like, I got to share that one.
Yeah, that's cool.
Got all of Ahsoka. Yeah, and I love when people, like all the pictures you showed, when they use like real life elements in with the stuff, just always makes it really cool.
So I'm not a Star Wars collector, so my question with something like this is, do those clone trooper figures come with extra heads, or did he have to take those off of each one of those troopers? Like how did he come up with the ones for this picture?
Some of them are removable helmets,
Gotcha.
that go over like a clone face. I believe all the ones with the orange, like the Ahsoka troopers, are just the regular ball socket, like a regular figure. So
gotcha.
Yep.
But
and
that's
I think
cool.
Oh, I cheated.
That's all right. It works.
Oh, that's why I cheated, because we both picked this one and we shared this one.
Yeah.
I wanted to share this one from Crassus Prime, aka
it's Daniel Douglas, isn't it?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, it was funny because we were sharing our pictures before the show and kind of showing which ones we were both trying to narrow it down, and we both had this one in the mix. I love everything about this, just the way that it the colors, the way that the actual character itself is painted, all the different accessories and stuff, and then the carrot just is like this extra little bit of character to it that just makes it perfect. And I think that's from a it's the chef from the Muppets, I believe, came with that carrot. It may came with some other Muppets as well, but I believe that the chef from the Muppets had that.
I thought he painted the face on that because I have a couple carrots from Wolf King.
Yeah.
But I saw that little face and I just thought that was a really nice touch.
I know that I got that Swedish chef and it had one of those carrots in it. So he may have done that as, his on his own, but I know I've seen one like that. So I'm thinking that's where it came from.
Okay.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, we've been jabbering on about all these awesome things. So why don't we bring on our really cool guests this evening? I can never say this line. Everybody give a very warm digital welcome to the one and only Dwayne and Stevie Simmons from Destination Zone.
Hey guys.
You said very round. I was like, oh yeah.
I know. No, I was trying to say like round of applause, and warm welcome, and it
all blurred together.
Yeah.
words get tangled up.
Live show. Gotta love it.
We're supposed to be the nervous ones.
It's not nerves. It's just, my coworkers constantly ask me if I'm having a stroke because of how I talk. So,
I understand.
Anyway, Dwayne, Stevie, thank you for joining us tonight. I got to meet you guys at LegionsCon back in November. It was really hard to miss you when you just kind of strolled up to the table with that giant Viking helmet on, and I just thought that has to be so uncomfortable.
Yes, the furnace on my head. Yeah.
Comfortable. It's steady.
Oh man, like I didn't realize how warm it was going to be in that place, and like, man,
Yeah.
After the first day, I was like, I'm not wearing that tomorrow. I'm not wearing that tomorrow.
Yeah, that room was a little bit warm for sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
I mean,
and it got better once they turned on the air conditioning, but even then it was, you had I think it was the pool was right next door. So you had the humidity coming in from that. And then you squeeze all those bodies in that room. And
yeah. And I stood in line wearing that helmet too, like for the Legions table. So
the whole
time. Yeah. I like trooped it out and everything. People were like, hey man, nice helmet. And then it got to be a joke in the line. This dude behind me is like, hey, you think that person's going to like your helmet? And when they walk by, I was like, hey, I like your helmet. He'd be like, they like your helmet.
Yeah, I think you guys did a great job of videoing the LegionsCon experience. I had not, before I knew you guys were going to be on the show, I really hadn't heard of your channel. And so I wanted to kind of familiarize myself with some of your stuff. And I was watching, you had one where you're actually making the trip to LegionsCon, and then, where you're actually in the line and going through stuff. And, I think a lot of folks got so caught up with the experience this year that, we really didn't get a whole lot of like virtual tours of LegionsCon. Years past, it seemed like there was quite a few people doing that, but this year there wasn't a lot. So I really liked watching yours because it kind of brought the experience back for me, seeing some of those tables and stuff. So yeah, great job with that.
Yeah, thank you. We that's what we try to do with everything that we do. It's like just our experience. We try to show everybody what we experience. We're adventure bloggers.
You can live vicariously through us.
Yeah, that's what we
there you
go. We were already doing crazy stuff like this anyway before we started doing YouTube, and we're like, why don't we just record it? And it just kind of turned into a thing.
2020 happened, and then
okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask, what got you into creating Destination Stone? What does Destination Stone stand for? I don't think I've picked up on that. And like how did you get into doing the videos and stuff?
Well, DS, Dwayne Stevie, Destination Stone. There's that, but it came from this.
Just stone.
From rock. We collect rocks, and it started out with going on hikes.
Yeah, because when we moved up here to the Asheville area, it was like there's tons of stuff up here for hiking and stuff like that. And we're rock hounds, we go look in streams for rocks. There's garnets and all kinds of stuff in the waters up here. And we ended up just kind of, once 2020 happened and the old Backstreet Boys reunion tour happened. That's what they call COVID. These people we watch, they call it the Backstreet Boys reunion tour. But once that happened, I kind of like I got laid off my job, and I was sitting at the house all the time, and I was like, I just was flipping through YouTube because that's about all we ever watched anyway, was YouTube. And I haven't had cable or satellite in years, especially since me and her being together, and we've been together almost 11 years.
Oh wow.
And
so we started recording our hikes, and I started making jewelry with the stones. So we tried to come up with a name where it could all come together.
So
the jewelry line and the YouTube channel would all be Destination Stone. And then it turned into toy hunting.
Yeah, because I watched a video of a guy hunting for toys, and I was like, I do that anyway.
So we just started recording everything.
Yeah.
We decided to just, instead of branding the stones, we decided to brand ourselves.
And that's something that you were into before the YouTube? You were already into kind of going to shows and looking for toys and stuff?
Yeah, yeah. We always would go to like little cons and stuff like that, you know, and different things. And like I said, the whole toy thing. I've been collecting. I was collecting Marvel Legends for quite some time, and
I always collect wrestling figures since I was young.
she's got wrestling
In
figures
box.
that she has had still in the box since she was a
Behind
kid.
that
So
Ash versus Evil door.
yeah. So yeah, and I don't really have a lot of my older toys. You know, they kind of got lost to time and stuff like that. And you know, in high school, I had a moment where it was like toys, you know. But you know, ended up getting back into it because of Marvel Select and stuff. I seen those, and then Marvel Legends, and then it kind of slowly trickled from there. The NECA's Predators, man, I love NECA Predator. Oh my!
Oh yeah, that's cool. Is it all like more modern stuff that you guys collect, or do you also collect some vintage stuff as well?
Both.
Yeah, we do a little bit of both. Yeah, I like some vintage stuff. If I see something that like is like, man, I had that when I was a kid, I gotta have that. Like I have this Weapon X that she bought me for Christmas one year, and it was like old Toy Biz, little bitty Weapon X, you know, my favorite toy as a kid, and she ended up getting it for me. And yeah, I love that figure. It's so great, man. But yeah, for the most part, we stick with the modern stuff, and like
we're really just collectors of things.
Yeah.
Collectors of posters. The whole house is covered with posters. I'm a collector of skulls of various shapes and sizes.
Like from your hikes or stuff you find at shows and things?
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything. Okay.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
Fake things, real things.
Yeah.
All the things.
But movies, that was one of the main
I'm a collector
things.
of movies. I have like over 1,000 movies.
Yeah.
Wow.
We have a lot of movies. We have like a wall of movies in there that are both mine and hers.
It is really hard when we move. You wouldn't think the movies would take up so many boxes, but they do, and they are heavy. Stupid heavy. And people are like, why don't you just make a digital library? And I'm like, that's stupid. Then I don't have the cases to hold in my hand. You know how people are like, I love books because of the way they smell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Movies, DVDs. I'm the same way.
Yeah, I'm like the complete opposite. Like I've got a movie. I'll be sitting on my love seat, and I'll have a movie behind me that I will pay $3.99 on Amazon to watch just because I don't want to get the box out.
I knew where you were going with that. That's great.
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. In fact, I've been thinking about getting rid of mine just because it's just
let me see
I don't
what
know,
you
it's
have
inconvenient.
before you do.
Yeah,
I clean out stores. I cleared out.
I might hit you guys up because I've got quite a few.
I cleared out a lot of video stores when they closed. It was sad but exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
So you said you've been collecting wrestling figures since you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
What is there a certain one? I mean, did you always keep them in box, or did you have some that you got out and played with, or were they always in box? If so, what was one or two that were like the really standout ones for you?
I always kept them in box. My brother took them out of the box, and I acquired some of his that are out of box. So I do like the out of box, but I don't take them out of the box.
Okay, gotcha.
If I acquire them in the box, they stay in the box.
Okay.
And I have a lot of the blue Jax ones.
Jax specific.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a certain
Specifically the Hardys and Lita is what I collect.
Yeah. There's a certain magic with opening up a figure, though. It's like, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's a rip to the heart, and I faint. I pass out for 10 minutes.
We
were just talking about this like yesterday. I really appreciate box art. I really appreciate it. I'm not going to rip the cover of a book off.
I can see that. There have definitely been some figures that I have looked at with the box art, and I'm like, man, I really don't want to open this because it looks so nice. But then I usually give in and rip it open.
I also think about I have to separate it, so then it turns into two. It just spreads itself out over the house because then it creates large boxes in the shed. 7 boxes, massive boxes in the shed of boxes of boxes.
Yeah, I used to follow a guy that was I used to follow a guy that was a vintage Masters of the Universe collector, and he wanted to have one of every figure from the original line in the box and loose. And so the way he displayed it was he had the package on the shelf and then the loose figure standing in front of it. So you could see the box art, you could see the package, but if you wanted to grab the figure and play with it or look at it, you had that as well. So I thought that was a cool way to kind of have both. But
I would do that with magazines because I collected magazines too. I have a lot of old WWF magazines.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I would buy. When I first started to collect, I would just get one, and I'm like, crap, I can't take the poster out of this, or it won't be mint. So I'd buy two, so I could take the posters out and the pictures and put them all over the wall, and then I'd have one mint.
So with you guys collecting so much, what is your display? I mean, I see the stuff behind you, but like, what is your display logic as far as what stuff you put out, how you display it? Like, what's your thought process with that?
Pretty much I have started thinning out some stuff that is just sitting in the box. Anything that I can't put on a shelf and I don't have room for, I usually am like, okay, well, do I want this out on the shelf enough? And if I don't, I'll get rid of it. Because I have been thinning out the collection, especially since these guys, like that has taken over my collection.
My mother always taught me if I can't display it, then I shouldn't have it. She goes, that's fine if you want to have stuff, but if you can't display it, if you're just sticking it in a box somewhere, you're not even looking at it, why do you have it? I'm like,
right,
gotcha. Everything's displayed.
Gotcha.
It's a museum. Our house is a museum.
What was the lead in for Mythic Legions for you guys? Like, what brought you to that line?
How did that start?
Well, for me, I remember seeing Purplore the first time whenever they announced that figure or something, like I've seen it. I remember seeing that figure somewhere in a lot of the Motu tributes, and I love Masters of the Universe. That's something that was really big in my childhood, like not really the toys, but the cartoon more or less, and like whenever I seen those, I was like, man, that's really cool. I'm gonna have to check those out. And it kind of was one of those things where the normal cliches, it's too expensive, you push it to the side, it's too expensive. And then
but we're really good at finding things cheap. Very good.
And actually this guy, you guys probably know Jay Wright, BC Sasquatch Man. Mm-hmm. He always would post pictures of his figures like in the woods and stuff like that. And I remember I was just like, man, I love the photo, these freaking figures. You can just take such great photos of them in the wild, and they're so great. And I just was telling him how much I liked his photos one time, and he goes, well, it was last February, and he's like, well, they're having a reinforcement sale, and if you want to get something, now's the time, man. And so I bought a goblin. That was all they had left, and I got him here, and I took him home, and I reviewed him, and I said, this is really awesome. And I sat there and couldn't stop looking at him and couldn't stop playing with him. And
now he has a shelf.
Now I have two shelves full, and all in coming and other things as well.
That's funny. My first Legion's a goblin too.
Yeah.
Is that the Necronominus all in?
No, All Stars 5.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Had some figures I was really excited about. Ilgar. Like, man, I love my Vikings and my barbarians, man. And like just some of the older figures is really cool that they're coming out with. In the new figures, all the Xylonus Flock stuff. Oh man, like so cool, man. I'm ready for that Noble Bear stuff, man. Between Xylonus Flock and Noble Bear, that's my favorite two factions, man. Oh, dude,
can't wait to get that Dubon in hand. I think that one's going to be a big one. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah. The other day, they were I think it was Jeremy had a stream going, and he was talking about that figure, and I said that's Valak in disguise, because Valak's like this character. If you read his bio, it says that he's like a master of like sneaking around, and he's trying to spy on Xylonus Flock. And I was like, how crazy is it that they're very similar looking characters?
Very nice.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm really excited about that wave, man. It's gonna be my first horse, so that's really cool. I mean, I got the Centaur, I got him, Farius, man. That was kind of like just went into the toy store, and he was there, and I had some gift cards and was like, Let's
Oh
go.
wow.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I have not ever seen a Mythic Legion figure in a store around here, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My buddy. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm lucky enough to have a local, like an actual registered dealer around here. You know, it's one of the official.
Cool.
Yeah. Hey Nathan, what's up, man? It's like an hour and a half, 2 hours away, but it's worth it. I love that place. Needless Toys is a great place.
Not a bad drive.
Yeah, it's not that bad for, especially what they have, man. Whew, their store is loaded with good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
We just had a guy in the next town over, so it's about 20-minute drive depending on traffic, 30 minutes. Next town over for me just announced in the last couple of weeks that they're an official retailer for Four Horsemen now. So I'm on a tight budget, so I'm not going down there to look because I know I'll get something. But I can't wait to be able to go down there and see stuff like just on a shelf in a store.
That's awesome.
Yeah. That's fun sometimes, just window shopping and touching it. You're like, okay, now let me go buy groceries.
Yeah. I really have like even like this stuff that's in retailers like Walmart and Target, like around my area here, like you go there and it's stuff that came out like 2 years ago. Like there's nothing good. So in a way that's good because there's no impulse, that I have to deal with. But it's kind of sad. Like there's not really anything around here. So that's cool. You got a place that you can go to and look at that stuff.
Yeah. It is, man. Like there's the places around here stay pretty stocked just because there is like a group of collectors in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And like
buy it all up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it does keep the different things flowing. And like I said, I've pretty much like cut back on most everything. Like I'm pretty much done with Marvel Legends because I only collect the comic book Legends, and I have like my 90s X-Men, and I got like an X-Force section, and I got my villains.
Oh, like the boxes.
Yeah, the new boxes. Yeah,
I can't see them. What's in there? Nothing. It's just it could be anything. I can't open it. I don't like to pop the tape. How do I know that's what's in there? I don't believe it.
Yeah, I saw they announced their like year-end earnings or quarterly earnings or something, and they were really down. And I don't know. I mean, like I said, my stores around here really don't have anything anyway. But if I was to go to the store, I mean, I'm the kind of guy that if there's 20 Skeletors on the shelf, I'm looking through each one of them to find the one with the best eyes and the best everything else. And if I can't see the figure, like I don't know.
Yes, my Ty Conti's hair was on her cheek.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have known that if it didn't have the plastic. I'd be like, "There's hair on her cheek." No, I had an opportunity to get a different one.
That's good.
It matters.
So you're cutting down other lines, and you're going pretty hard into Legions. You've also started customizing, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
Or was that was I not supposed to say that?
Oh no, you're fine. No, you're okay, man. That's fine.
Yeah, thank you. We have a video coming up of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
That's actually what I did today. Yeah. It was I did a little bit of painting and stuff, and yeah, I'm really liking it, man. Like it's I need a couple more finer brushes, like with the little finer tips for certain things, but yeah, I'm enjoying it, man. Like I didn't really do a whole bunch. Like here, I'll show you. I'll take this off. Let's see this. This is just the bronze dwarf. I just took him and just kind of highlighted him.
Oh yeah.
Let me make you big. If I can remember how to do this.
Did you post pictures of this?
Yeah, when I first started.
Yeah, I think I might have seen this one.
Yeah, and like, there you go.
Yeah,
and it's not like a whole lot, but it's a little bit of something. And man, the skirt piece, man, that right there was, just outlining it and stuff. But
that's exactly how I got into customizing. Was just like the details like that. I mean, there's the sculpts on these are so amazing that you can just kind of like pick a color palette and say, I'm going to use these 2 colors or these 3 colors, and then go, kind of paint by numbers. Like I'm going to do these things that color and these things this color, and then just go to work. And it makes a huge difference. Like when you see the before and after pictures, it's like, man, I just did some trim and I did some rivets and things like that. But then you look at the finished product and it looks really cool.
Right.
So yeah, good job.
Thank you. I've already kind of decided maybe I want to take all that off and color them a different color. Paint them something else.
Yeah.
I'm already like looking at other things. I'm like, because I finally found a metallic green for some Xylone's flock stuff. So yeah, I want to do some stuff like that.
What is I think it's like a deco art. It's like
festive green.
Festive green.
Yep.
And that's what they use at the studios for nearly all of the Xylone flock armor stuff.
Right.
So, if you got that, you're solid, man.
Yeah.
So
Stevie is very supportive of me customizing and stuff, the painting and stuff, and it really helps, man. Like like all the stuff she got me for Christmas was pretty much painting stuff. Like she got me some primer, and just different things like that. And then for my birthday, she got me a mat to paint on, and the paint stand over there. I got all my paints in and stuff.
Awesome.
So
that's cool.
It's awesome. Like I'm very, very lucky to have her. I'm very lucky. She's my best friend.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That's the way to be.
Sure. I mean.
No, that's one thing I love about the Cabal and the community around the Mythic Legions is how many like couples are in it together.
Right.
Like I know Curtis, his wife is doing stuff with dioramas. You've got like Strupp Family Crafts doing like the soft goods together. And I mean, even if you're not customizing, like going on these adventures together, I just think that's so cool that you guys can find stuff that you're both so excited about and they overlap. That's so much fun.
Yeah, it's nice enough just to have a spouse that's okay with you collecting, but if you have one that is going on this adventure with you and doing things with you, it's even better. So yeah, that's awesome.
We're up each other's butts a little too much, actually.
Yeah.
And that's a fun dynamic to your videos too. It's just like how not up each other's butts you are, but like how like just your dynamic between each other, and just like when you're doing the videos, depending on who's on camera, who's recording, like it's just such a fun I already said dynamic. What word am I looking for?
Atmosphere.
Yeah, it's just you're just having fun. You're enjoying each other. You're enjoying what you're doing, and it's really easy to find YouTube videos that are just like down talking, like, oh, this is the thing I got, and it's all just about, oh, it's the cardboard boxing I can't see. It's negative. Like your videos are fun to watch. Like
that's the point.
I get a kick out of watching them when I get to them, and it's just
even
really
nice. Like sometimes the travel aspect can be monotonous and boring and long, but even watching your guys like trip to LegionsCon, it's like you still are having fun and enjoying it, and so that it's kind of that journey thing rather than the destination, and good stuff for sure.
I'm glad you say that, because I always wonder, I'm like, we don't get as many views on those videos, but I like those videos because like you said, you literally got from it what I was trying to portray, is that it is about the journey and not just the destination. If you get to the destination right away, say you go and you want to go on a little boating trip or go on a canoe, you get there and you're like, just drive me to the end.
Yeah,
I don't want to go down the river.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Down the river.
Yeah,
I don't want to just drive me to the end.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We're all, kind of, got our own little nerddoms and whatever. And so when you get to the destination for you guys and you're seeing the toys and you're seeing the stuff that you're finding in these places and things that people have for sale, that is the payoff. Like there is this like, oh, cool. We look at they found that, and this treasure hunt kind of aspect to it. But for you guys and your dynamic and your channel, I think it is, those other videos are just as important, because you're seeing how much fun you're having on the way there and the things that you're doing. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, like just hitting up the rest stop on your way. I think where you were somewhere in Pennsylvania or something, or Maryland. And I actually think it was Pennsylvania, because I think you were really close to where I live when you were near that rest stop. So I was like, oh man. Wow. I didn't even
You're
know
like,
these
"I know
guys
that
then, and
guy."
they were, I think I was already at LegionsCon for GCon and stuff, but I was like, man, that's my neighborhood almost. But,
See, my drive across Pennsylvania felt like about 3 days, and I was ready to put a gun to my head. So I definitely was not having the same amount of fun that you guys were. So it was good to see that is a way that you can travel. So
We highlight the good part.
Yeah,
there you go.
14 hours is a crazy drive, man.
It
Yeah.
was
We try to
long.
be honest, but we highlight the good part.
Yeah.
no, there's a difference between being honest and putting up a front. And I don't feel like anything,
Oh, no.
you might not, nobody wants to see
You don't
some
need
of
to spread
everything.
you don't need to spread the negative stuff.
Mhm.
But sometimes I like to show stuff where it's like, okay, this really sucks right now. So I feel I want to pull the camera out because I need support. And I feel like that. I feel like when we pull the camera out, like I'm literally talking to our viewers. It's like we've met some of these people and we talk to them in live streams. So I feel like I'm talking to them. So yeah, sometimes I pull it out just for support. Like, what the hell do I do? Can y'all comment down below right now?
but the excitement and enthusiasm is infectious too. Like when you're in line and you don't see Sir Gerard, and then they tell you that they've got one, and then all of a sudden your face lights up. Like it's like that's cool. That's magical,
Dude, that made my whole weekend, man. Like that was like kind of one of my grail figures at the time, and I was like, dude, because I knew they were selling them at shows, and I was like, man, I don't want to pay $85 for them. I know I can get them for price, man. Like I know I can, and sure enough, I seen him that morning. They somebody took a picture at the table and was like, yeah, and I seen him sitting there, and I was like, oh, dude, oh my god, like I got so excited.
Dancing in the hotel room.
Yeah,
I was like, do that one more time for me, please.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, that dance that he did in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, keep dancing.
Yeah, that was great.
So we've circled around LegionsCon a couple times. Are you guys coming back this year?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
For sure,
Okay.
man.
If we have to walk, we'll be there.
Yeah.
That'll be an epic video.
Yeah.
Yes.
we even are looking at PowerCon a little bit this year. It's in Ohio. It's not too far. It's like 7.5 hours. That's a good drive, but that's about what we do for when we go home to Florida. So it's
a little less than that.
Yeah, it's a little less. Yeah. So yeah, but we're not sure yet. We're still kind of talking about it and stuff. But yeah, LegionsCon, that's since last year, it's a definite must.
I want to go back to Jollibee.
Yeah. So we should talk about the Jollibee. So when we went up there, we had about 1,000 subscribers.
I think we had just hit 1,000.
We just hit 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. And we did, the LegionsCon videos all the way up there. And when we got up there, well, on the way up there, I was kind of looking at something to eat, and I seen that there was a Jollibee there. Well, Stevie watches these YouTubers that are from Australia, and they go to the Philippines and stuff like that.
And that's where Jollibees originated.
And so
that's how we knew about it.
So she was like, "Oh my god, we got to eat Jollibee," and I was like, "Okay, cool." So we made this Jollibee video, and we literally went and picked it up at the store, took it back to the hotel, and it's just us eating it in the hotel. We made the video, let it marinate for a day or two. Well, it was like the second day?
The second day, it had already had thousands of views. It currently has 36,000 views.
Wow.
Wow.
And we gained over 400 subscribers on just that one video.
From just that video.
From eating a meal.
Yeah.
And it was from people in the Philippines watching it.
Wow.
We still get comments on that video.
And people requesting, please come to the Philippines. I was like, hold on, I'm trying to get my passport. I'm coming.
Well, I know what I'm doing this year for lunch.
Yeah.
I love Jollibee so much.
Yeah, we are sitting at 1840 right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
that's
cool.
crazy, man.
Very cool.
It was just like, it was one of those things that we just kind of didn't expect it. She was like, the LegionsCon videos are going to do really good, and I just want to do this Jollibee video,
I just wanted
and
to
the LegionsCon videos did okay, but the Jollibee video, wow, man, it's so crazy how it just shot up,
So we need to do the Legions video and go to Jollibee in the same video and it'll promote the LegionsCon and the Legions more. I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
There you go. Then you take over Jeremy's job as director of sales.
Oh, Jeremy, can you sit over there? I need the hi, everyone.
The restaurant sponsor for 2023.
Yeah. Well, speaking of LegionsCon, I know Jesse and I both attended the intern for a day this past year. I think that's something, if you guys get an opportunity to put in for it, I would definitely do that. I think you guys would get a lot out of that.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about it this year for sure. Because last year, when I said I didn't do it, Stevie's like, "Why didn't you do that?" I was like, "Because it's like $300." She goes, "That doesn't matter."
We're learning the difference between spending money and investing money in yourself.
There you go.
That's investing.
It's definitely worth it. I mean, just what you get to do being in there with that group of people that go in with you for the intern, and just the one-on-one with everybody in the studio is so cool. Of course, seeing all the reveals at G-Con is also awesome, but like, I want to put in for it every year, but I've gotten my turn, so I'm not gonna enter for a while. I don't think if they keep doing the lotteries, but if you get a chance, definitely.
Yeah,
well,
something I want to do, man, because
and I'm gonna sit in the hotel and eat Jollibee.
Well, you get to bring somebody with you. If you get the intern, you get to bring somebody with you.
Oh, really?
There you go.
Yeah, so you should both put in for it. So if one of you gets it, you both get to go.
There
So it's $300, but you get the second person with you. So really, it's $150 each.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in there, but like as somebody that's getting a start in customizing, spending that time with either Cameron or Sherry is that you can't put a price on that for sure. So it's just a wealth of knowledge.
And just seeing all like the 2-ups and all the different like prototype stuff they have just in the studio, it's just like you don't get to do that anywhere else.
Yep.
Like, everything. Like there's some stuff that's like probably, you're probably not supposed to see that. Like if you catch it, it's like, oh, look at that, but like,
and I'm very observant. You can ask her. I'm always like looking at stuff and like, oh man, I love this.
I need to strap the GoPro to your forehead.
But I'm so mad that I didn't get to sit in on any of the workshops, because I guess I didn't realize like where they were or something, and how to get to them and stuff. And
we were super green.
Once,
we were just like, what is going on?
And once
everybody was this year, like that was a whole new. The whole breakout rooms was all new this year. So that was a big learning experience for everybody, I think.
Yeah, because I really would have liked to sit in on that. And like now this year, I've gotten more into the, like you said, the customizing, and I've got a whole box full of custom pieces that need to be painted. I did that beard and stuff. Like here, I'll show y'all. Actually, I'll just show y'all. I'll forget it. I went ahead and I did his beard up.
Nice. One of those beard clips. Yeah,
man.
It matches my hair.
Yeah, I love those clip-on beards, man. They are great.
That's cool.
Chris Farone, I guess that's how you said Farone. Yeah, man. Oh,
him and
so good.
Shane Mann.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're good stuff.
Well, and just there's a lot of resources throughout the community too. If you're just getting into this stuff, I mean, Jeremy has a ton of videos on his channel on different customizing tips. I know Nikki Nicole has a great Instagram that's got a lot of stuff. Over in the Wolf Den, we do a lot of tutorials, and we even do this customizing studio, which is really neat, where folks just jump in. We'll have 5, 6, 8 people in there working on their own projects, and we're just chatting while we're working. So if you ever see something like that going on, feel free to jump in and hang out. And
for sure,
I find those very valuable, because you're just bouncing things off of each other.
Right. Yeah. I love Wolf King. Most of my custom pieces are from Wolf King. That's where most of them, not all of them, but most of them are from Wolf King. I got Sir Jibber Jabber on the way, dude. I seen him and I was like, oh my God, he's awesome. His helmet, man. I thought he was so great.
Yeah. Good
wait,
stuff.
which one was that? Why am I blanking on Jibber Jabber?
He's new. He's the new one.
It's the new one. It's the miner one. It's like a dwarf miner. He's got like a visor that comes down.
Okay. I guess I didn't realize that was his name. Yeah, that one's great.
Yeah.
Sir Jibber Jabber. Yeah, he's awesome, man. And I got the Flatulence 4 set with the Crocs and the
Yeah.
pipe and stuff.
Crocs are mine.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, she's doing her John Goblicon custom.
I made a John Goblicon from Necro Goblicon.
Yeah,
nice. That's awesome.
John Goblicon. And I'm gonna give him some yellow Crocs to match his shirt.
That's fantastic.
That's great.
And I do have some wrestlers I want to like touch up. So I just got a Victoria, a Candice Michelle, and a Tori Wilson, and they used to be a faction together.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give them some gear where they all match. Because all their boobs are rubbed off anyway, so they need some shirts.
Wonder what was happening there.
Wrestling, Curtis. It's wrestling.
Oh, wrestling. I gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Nope. Curtis, you go with something. My brain just froze.
Okay. So as far as like your collecting and your travels, LegionsCon seemed like a pretty good distance for you guys. Is a lot of your other treasure hunts that you go on the same kind of trek, or you mostly stay local? Like what is the average experience look like for you guys?
Average is about 2 hours.
Okay.
That's an average because we can do that in a day without having to stay anywhere. But we've been trying to like once a month, if not every other month, actually go on a driving adventure. And we're trying to implement that more often because we've even got that in our logo, our car, our monster mobile.
Yeah.
We take on adventures.
So how do you stay in touch with all the different happenings, in these places? Like, do you have boards that you go to, or do you have kind of a calendar of events that you keep that, hey, here's what we're going to do throughout the year? Like, what does that look like?
I have this lovely planner, and on the front of it says, "You are made of magic." And I said, yes.
Nice.
And we just keep up with stuff on Facebook and Instagram, and anything we think is cool, we write it down. We're not going to go to anything if we don't dig it. I'm not going to go to anything I don't enjoy. I will fall asleep, and you will see that on camera. So,
and if you're not having a good time, you'll know.
I can't.
When you go to these areas, do you then try to hit the things that are around there, like see if they've got toy stores or different flea markets, stuff like that?
Yeah, so we'll like have like a hub of like an event that we want to go to, or something like that, and then we're like, okay, we're just going to toy hunt around the area, or maybe find a cool place to go to. And sometimes I like to do hotel reviews. Those are fun for me. I just like to do them. I don't know. Like a little commercial.
What's like one thing that when you go on these hunts that you're really looking for? Like, what would be that piece that you found that you'd be like, this is it. This is the one that I've been looking for.
What for you?
For me?
Mine is just, I love looking for loose wrestlers, especially when we go to like local places. I love looking for loose wrestlers.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm really into mythics right now, would probably be Thistlethorn or an Atlas that was a decent price. Like, oh my god, those are two of my like top figures that I'm really like looking for. Because like I said, for the most part, I've got most everything that I've really like needed in most of their lines. Like my Star Wars, my Black Series, I've got a whole shelf that's full of just stuff still in box because I don't have a shelf for them yet, but I was mainly getting like Clone Wars and stuff. But I don't know. I guess that would really be it. Like that's probably the two things that right now is like, man, I probably would if I've seen them in my hand and I had the money, I would be like, I can't walk away from this.
Yeah,
because man, yeah, mythics just I am so deep in it, man. Like it's ridiculous. Like I haven't sold my whole collection yet for them yet. Like a lot of people have, but
you're just doing a few at a time.
Yeah, but after LegionsCon, man, when we left LegionsCon, I was like, there's no way I can not be all in. I got two of the Furious Force box sets while we were there, so I could make all four of them. I got the unknown one. You know, like it was it was one of them things where it's like I just spent a lot on these figures.
We saved money for
we
that.
did. We saved money for a long time for that.
It was not like bills were paid.
Yeah.
The cat was
smart.
fed.
Yeah. We've already started saving for this year.
Yeah.
Speaking of feeding cats, have you gone for any of the test shots that were out yesterday, or are you going to go for any in the upcoming weeks?
I thought about it, man, and like I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I do want to get another Furious 4 when they release the series, the single one, so I can put the cat head on there, the Janguillion head on one. You know, because I've got one on my Fury orb I got from Mercari a while back, but I'd like to put the Fury back on the shelf, you know, and I definitely want to get that. But yeah, I think I'm going to try to not get any test shots because I thought about it, man, and I was like, I would really like to have that Legion Builder Barbarian or like that Dwarf, you know, or something like that, because those deluxe Legion Builders are so good to me, man. Like I just looked so good, and all they did was like put a new head on them, but to me that was, you know, it was so cool, man. Like, yeah, but I think I'm gonna not try to because I did think about it, man, and I was like, I don't know, I don't really have the cash for it right now, so maybe not, you know.
Yeah, I really have not gone down that rabbit hole. I'm afraid that if I got a test shot, that I would love it, and then I'd want to collect more, and they're just not. They're not cost effective, you know, and there's so few of them made that you definitely can't be a completist on it. I don't think anybody is able to do that. So yeah, it's one of those that I've tried to avidly stay away from. I don't know. What about you, Jesse? Did you go for anything, or you have?
I didn't. I have a gift card for Store Horseman, but it's not going to be enough to cover a whole test shot and shipping. So I don't know if putting that in and a credit card is going to make it worthwhile. You know, time wise,
it's like a discount.
Yeah. Yeah, a friend got it for me for Christmas, but like the only test shot I want to get is one of the Cosmic Legions, just to get because I don't have any of those order yet, so it'd be just nice to get one of those in hand before they come out. But I know, and I know I'm going to love the Cosmic stuff when they come out, but I feel like I'm just going to sit back and let the people who are really, really into those go for them. The only test shot I really, really want is Thistlethorn, because he was my first figure. So I'd like to get him and put him in the box, because I saved the box for him since he was the first one. But I know he's long gone and very expensive at this point. So
yeah, well, you never know, man. You might get
maybe
lucky.
Someday I'll make a custom for somebody that they'll want to trade for it, or 12
just
custom.
buy a Mephitor and just paint him gray.
There you go.
And how about what about speaking of Cosmic? Are you interested in any of the Cosmic stuff, or are you going to stick to the Mythics?
Like, man, okay, so I was gonna stay away from Cosmic because I'm already in Mythic so deep. Like, I'm like this. I'm like, hey guys, I'm like this in Mythics right now, you know. And like, we were at the comic book store, that Needless Toys, where they're the retailer for Mythics, and I was talking to him about it. He's like, yeah, man, I'm about to get my Cosmics in, you know, blah blah blah, you know, whenever they get done. He's like, I'm excited for those. He's like, you should come check them out, dude. They're gonna be great. Once you get them in hand, you're gonna love them. And I'm like, I know. so I might go grab one or two just to check them out, because fantasy's my thing. Like, that's been my thing since I was a kid. Like, you know, all anything fantasy has always been my favorite. Like, all my books are fantasy and stuff like that.
Yeah, we love going to Ren fairs.
I love Ren fairs and stuff like that, man. You know, we went to Medieval Times for my birthday.
Just gonna say, didn't you just go to a Medieval Times or something recently?
Dude, it was so awesome, man.
Chicken was so good.
Yeah.
It was though.
But Cosmics, yeah, I think I'm gonna try to get a couple. maybe not get too deep into it. And I said that about Mythics, but you know, here we are.
Yeah. Thistlethorn was going to be the one Mythic Legion I got.
Yeah, we all say that. I remember I got in. My first one was Lord Dragul, and I looked, and you know, Alithia had just ended the pre-order through Four Horsemen, but it was still up for pre-order through Big Bad Toy Store. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, well, if I get all of Alithia plus Lord Dragul, and then I really only have to go back and get Carpathius and Borgus Vermilius, and I got the whole faction. I'm like, okay, I'll just do that. I'll just do the vampires and then nothing else. And then it's like, well, I got to get a couple knights, but that's it. And then, but there's a Fury orc, and so let me get some orcs, but no dwarves, no skeletons, and then you know, slowly one by one, each one of them went down. So
after I got that goblin, a little bit later, I seen this dude in this other group. It wasn't even the Cabal. It was some other group selling them. And he was like in Raleigh, you know, right down the road. And I was like, oh, man. And he had Dragul. He had that bronze dwarf. And he had a orc builder. Mm-hmm. Well, Dragul was first. I was like, dude, I want that figure. Because Hordak that's my dude. That's my favorite, like, villain, man. I love Hordak. And I got him. And I was like, dang, man, he's got that dwarf and that orc. I was like, maybe I'll just, you know, get them and, you know, we'll, you know, whatever. Maybe, you know, I'm not really into the orcs that much. We'll see. And yeah, I got both of them. And I'm like, these are awesome. These are just awesome, man. And now I've got a lot of orcs, man. I've got like 4 or 5 orcs. Like I've even got the lady orc and stuff, you know, like I've got quite a few, man. I like the orcs a lot. Like I like all of them. I really like the goblins. I want to get all the goblins. That's like the main thing I want is the name goblins, dude.
The goblins are so good.
Yeah.
Did
you get any of the Wolf King? Are those available right now, Curtis? The
mud thumps? Yeah. With Wolf King Customs now, everything's available all the time. That's right. Pretty much.
Yep.
The only exception would be like if there's a brand new part, he may have not printed enough yet to keep them in stock, for the high demand when something's released. But otherwise, everything's available all the time. So, yep. And that's one of the things that I love about the mud thumps and really everything with that whole, because that's part of the God's Fire line, is there's a story there behind those characters. So it's not just, you're getting ahead from some 3D company and then you have to, if you're creative and you're imaginative and you can come up with these stories on your own, that's great. But I like with the mud thumps and stuff, like there's already a story there and you can read it and imagine what that looks like in your head and then try to bring it to life. So yeah, those mud thumps are really cool.
Yeah, those were some of my favorites at LegionsCon. Like that whole little setup they had of those was like, oh, that was really cool, man.
Like, the one with the hut and stuff.
Yeah.
That was my set.
Oh, really? Oh, dude, yeah dude, it was beautiful, man. Like there was so much good stuff at LegionsCon.
Appreciate it.
Like I said, it was at a time when I knew who a lot of these customizers were, but not as good as I do now. And like going back and watching it, it's like, oh man, I should have talked to him, and I should have talked to him. It's like crazy. Like I felt like bad when we walked out. I was like, dang man, I should have talked to more people. Like the only people I really like talked to was Jesse and Leland from Retrospect.
Yeah,
I sat there and talked to him for a minute too, and that was really cool. I was just kind of nervous too, man. Like.
We get so nervous.
Yeah.
The camera's our security blanket.
Yeah.
Well, it's difficult in the con itself when there's like all these people and everybody wants to try to see each table. And you kind of have to move with the flow. I think where I talked to the most folks was in the lobby and stuff afterwards. Like if you can stay at the hotel, and I know rooms were running short already for this upcoming year, but that is really cool because then after the show, it's like it continues and then you get to talk to all these people and make relationships and make some friends. And yeah, it's really cool.
Karate chop some giant candy bars.
Yeah.
I was saying I wanted to bring cookies or something, and that'll break the ice. And here's a cookie and a card for our YouTube channel.
Well, it's funny.
That'll be like It'd be like when you see those videos where someone throws some bread into the like the koi pond and all the fish come up, and you throw some cookies or
Well,
a bottle of something out, and that room will go crazy.
Some of us were there for interns, so we were there like as early as like Wednesday night. And so it was like Wednesday night, there's some folks there, and then somebody went out and brought some whiskey or something, and we were just hanging out in the lobby. And then the next night, somebody brought like some tequila, and next night, and it was like we weren't finishing these bottles. So then at the end of the night, somebody would grab them all and take them up to the room, and then the next night they would bring it back down. So by the last night, we had like a whole bar set up with just like,
oh wow,
yeah. So it was pretty interesting for sure.
Yeah,
but
we picked our badges up on Friday night. Everybody was in the lobby, like chatting it up and having a good time, man. It was really cool, like just to see that. Like, I've been in a lot of toy communities doing this stuff with YouTube and stuff like that, and and the Cabal is its own thing, man. Like, I know people have said that over and over again, and I see it all the time, but I just want to state that in my personal experience, being in a bunch of different groups, it is so crazy, man. Like how just like
the energy in that room was
that.
It was oddly peaceful.
Yeah.
Even though it was so high.
Yeah, and for it to be so chaotic, it was peaceful. It was
great, it was so calming.
Well, I think it definitely can take you by surprise if you're not prepared for it. Like I was in a lot of toy communities like you were before this. And we had somebody that just joined the Cabal not too long ago, and he posted a custom and got a lot of great feedback. And like people were like, "Oh, this is great. We love it with this and that." And then I think it was his second post was like, "Hey, thinking about doing some classes and selling them for $20 a piece." It's like all these people jumped on him. Like, we don't do that here. And like, but if you don't know, and it like, that's something that definitely could be considered acceptable in other communities. If you're in the G.I. Joe community, may not be as many people customizing, because those things aren't as pop and swappable and that kind of thing. So if you're somebody that customizes, that may be a perfectly normal thing to give some lessons and stuff. But in this group, because the knowledge is shared so freely amongst everybody and everybody tries to help out one another, when somebody comes in and tries to sell that knowledge, it's like they're gatekeeping the knowledge, and it's like, that's not good. But at the same time, we shouldn't be jumping on and attacking people either. But I think it can be interesting if you're not used to that sort of a group and you come in here, even just getting positive feedback, like it could go to your head pretty quick.
Yeah. You sure can.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it! I had.
Just breathe.
Had it and lost it, huh?
Yeah,
So
I don't know, something about the room,
reading the
floor. Room. No, the floor at the convention and everything.
Okay.
Like the energy there was really great. Like, oh, that's what it was. The being nervous coming into there. Like last year when I went 2021, I didn't know anybody. Like, I had heard about Jeremy, I had heard about Nikki. Like, I was not in the group. I wasn't in the Facebook group. I didn't know what the Cabal really was. We walk in and Sean, my friend since third grade, we went together, and he was like, "Oh, there's Corn Boy and Jim and Eric and everybody over the table." I'm like, "What's a Corn Boy?" Like, I didn't even know. Like, I knew of the Four Horsemen, but I didn't know who the guys were. Like, somehow I missed on that part of stuff when I was getting toys in the 90s of like learning who these guys were.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't know anybody, so I'm just like walking up, talking to people. Like, I bought a head from Jeremy, went outside, like popped it onto a figure and brought it back into him. And I was like, "Oh, look what I just did with the head I bought from you. Here's the story I just made up in the 20-minute." It's like, I think now, if I would have been in the Cabal before going to LegionsCon, like, I think I would have been appalled at my behavior at the first con I went to, just because they're all just people. But going through that and then getting to know all these people over the last year, and then being on the floor myself this year, I was like, nope, there's nothing wrong with the way I behaved last year. Like, these are all just people. Everybody's just here to hang out and have fun because they love this stuff. And, I think for the most part, there's very little like genuine ego going on with anybody in there. at least in the point where they, yeah. So, yeah.
The positive energy was enough that it at least squashed any potential negative energy, because I feel none.
Yeah,
I feel none.
Well, speaking of positive energy, if you haven't figured it out, this is just my conversational clutch. I just reference whatever we just said and say something different.
Nice segue.
You mentioned books, and I was going to get to this eventually, but our friend Danny in the chat, he is asking what your favorite fantasy book series is for either or both of you. Since you mentioned you had a bunch of books, yeah, do you have a favorite? Is just constantly updating, or
some of my favorite stuff personally, The Dark Tower by Stephen King. That whole series is that's what I have tattooed on my arm, like that's what this big old tattoo is The Dark Tower. That series is phenomenal. Like, if you like Stephen King at all, it just ties everything together, like all his books and stuff. But it's not like his other stuff, because it's not horror, it's like it's got everything. Also, The Lord of the Rings was like the first series I ever read when I was a kid, like in middle school. That's cool. Yeah, Dark Tower is great. Avoid the terrible movie. don't even go there. But yeah. But yeah, Lord of the Rings was like one of the first things that I definitely read when I was a kid and like enjoyed, like sat down and read the whole series. My mom bought me the whole book with the Hobbit and all of them. And because what it was I was watching the Hobbit cartoon, that old Rankin Bass Hobbit cartoon. That's like, and that, I mean, a lot of people, that was a lot of their people's introduction to stuff like that. And I was one of those people. And man, that cartoon, the Gollum in that cartoon, just for some reason, it's still to this day like, oh, it's creepy.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. Like, I know he's supposed to be more of a Hobbit type creature, but so when I read that in the book, the cartoon was first for me. Yeah. So when I was like, wait, he's supposed to be like, why does he look like a giant frog man?
Yeah.
But I love that look for him in that cartoon.
And there's also some series, the King Killer Chronicles, Patrick Rothfuss. Dude, oh my goodness, man. Those books are just phenomenal, man. Like,
he needs to get that third one out, though.
Dude, tell me about it. Oh, don't even get me started. Yeah, I was introduced to those books when we still lived in Panama City, and that's been over 6 years ago. And this one of my friends was like, his brother was reading it. He was like, dude, I want you to check this out, man. My brother says you'll really like it. And I read it, and I was like, I'm hooked, man. I had to get the second one, and like, man, oh, he's so good. But yeah, come on, man, quit playing D&D and put the third book out.
Yeah. And then he teased it and like read part of a chapter and stuff. It's like, okay, come on, man.
Yeah,
it's been like 10 years. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, maybe when I get my book edited in a presentable format, I'll see if you want to be a beta reader for it.
For sure,
fantasy adventure.
Nice.
For sure. Guy I work with actually currently let me borrow this Dragons of Autumn Twilight. It's a Dragonlance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I've never read any of the Dragonlance stuff. Like, I've read the Dritz Duerden and stuff like that. Everyone, good old Dritz, man. He's great. But yeah, man, that right there, that's pretty good so far. I'm really liking it. I like that
awesome
fantasy stuff, man. That's where my true heart lies.
Have you ever read the Chronicles of Prydain?
No.
Do you remember the 80s Disney cartoon, The Black Cauldron?
Yes.
It's the book series that very loosely inspired that. I mean, it's pretty much merging the first two books together. So They're definitely written for younger readers, but it's not like dumbed down. As my all-time favorite fantasy series, I would definitely recommend that one.
That's cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out, man. Because I've been trying to get more into reading again. Like, I kind of had to, one of the things where you just don't read very much. And like I said, I was like, man, I need to read. My dude at work, he's like, I got you, man. I'll read this right here. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, I just started listening to the Critical Role podcast because I gotta. It's hard to like find time to sit down and read because I either want to be painting or work doing artwork. So I started listening to audiobooks. So I've listened to a couple of Drist books and some other things, and I was like, I had to like suspend my Audible account for a while. So I'm like, what can I listen to? I'm like, wait, Critical Role has a podcast. So I've been listening to that, which isn't quite just like listening to a book. But if you know D&D gameplay,
that's what I listen to at work, man.
Okay.
I'm all caught up on campaign 3, and I'm like halfway through campaign 2 right now.
Okay.
I love me some Critical Role, man. Like,
I'm on like episode 8 or 9 of the first campaign, so like they're still figuring out their characters, you know, and all that stuff. So
yeah, the campaigns, you can listen to any of them because they don't line up. They're different characters, each one. Campaign 2, which is the Mighty Nine, they're about to come out with a cartoon for it, actually, because they got the animated series for the first one for Vox Machina and stuff. And dude, Mighty Nine is amazing. Like, those characters are so good, and just the fact that those guys are all like really good voice actors, man. Like, it's it's like reading a book. It's kind of like, to me, it's almost like better, than sitting there reading the book, because you never know what's going to happen. And these people just make these crazy decisions, and sometimes even the decision they make, it's not going to work because the dice roll, and it's really exciting, man. Like, and they're so funny, man. I'll be sitting there at work and like I'll be laughing. Someone will be like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm laughing. I'm good. Just ignore me."
That's cool.
We were watching Matt Mercer paint the other day.
Yeah. Actually, he was painting minis and stuff, and I was like,
get those guys into Mythic Legions.
Yeah, right. It's funny because there's a lot of these like big toy people, that like wrestlers and stuff, and they pass right by them, and they like this one dude, Danhausen, he actually got that Headless Horseman, and was like, "Oh, this is great! I love this," And I guess some big rapper got the Headless Horseman too.
They just didn't comprehend what they had in their hands,
right? And it's just it's kind of crazy, to see these guys with like the Krampus and stuff like that. And you're like, you don't even know what you got in your hand, do you?
That's what I was going to try to ask you earlier about the Figure Obscura stuff. What you going after those? Do you have any of those?
Yeah, actually, I did the video for the Krampus and the Father Christmas that I got. Man, that Father Christmas is amazing. That's such a good figure. Like people like everyone has their own opinion on it, but man, I got really excited about it. Like, I didn't think I was going to get excited about a Santa Claus action figure, but like, man, the more I looked at it, and I sat there and was like, and then I read where Jeremy was talking about the inspirations for it and stuff, man. And the Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, that's my favorite. Like, dude, that is my all-time favorite Rankin Bass claymation. Like, I watched that when I was a kid, and apparently it only came on once. Did not know that. It only came on once, and then they made like a cartoon of it or something. And I watched it when I was a kid, like all the time, because my mom had it on tape. And then it kind of like I teared up a little bit reading that, and I was like, I really have got to get this. Like,
yeah, the little write-ups that they do, especially for the Figure Obscura, have been really good. Like, I didn't know anything about Krampus, and I really didn't know anything about Headless Horseman before it came out. I mean, I had heard the tale and stuff, but I'd not really read anything.
Right.
So the way that they do those write-ups to kind of give you a historical perspective on these things is really cool. And then, I'm with you on the Father Christmas. When I first saw it, I was like, okay, it's cool. I'm going to get it, obviously, because I buy everything that they make. But opening that up and getting it in hand and seeing all the different things that it comes with, and the background that's wrapped around the package that you open up, it's like, man, now I've got this background. You put them out there, and you got the bag and all this stuff, and it's just for the money that you spend, the amount that you get for it, and the look that it portrays when you just look at this thing, it's so good. And I, like you said, I know there's some people that wanted the barbarian bare chest and buffed up, Santa Claus or whatever, but
Goldberg.
Tim Allen scene.
Yeah, but that's not what this was, and for what it is, it's amazing. It really is. So
Yeah. always nervous for when the next one's gonna drop, but always excited.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Called out, Chris.
Yeah, it is more than 33% soft goods. It is probably, I have to think about it, but that might be my first doll. So that's my definition. If it's more than 33% soft goods, it's a doll.
That's funny.
So yeah, that might be my first one. It's really good though.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I had to miss out on Headless because we were still saving up for LegionsCon, but you know, and then I seen him there, and like literally in our second video, you see me look at it, and I'm like, because I didn't want to stand in line again. I was like, I'm not gonna stand in line, but we are going to be press. We got press passes for Toylanta this year. Really excited about that. And then they just announced that they were going to be at Heroes Con, which is like right down the road.
So we'll be
cool.
We'll definitely be there as well.
And when we had Cornboy on our show, he did say that there will be a retail version as well.
Right.
So that, I mean, that's cool for those people that did miss out. Sounds like there's going to be another option to get one from retailers. So that would be great.
Right. Like I said, I was hoping maybe Toylanta they'll have one or two, you know, left over from the con or something. But if not, that's cool too. Because what's that, March? Toylanta? Yeah. That's gonna be cool. That's gonna be our first press pass con. We're pretty excited about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if you don't find them there. I would be very surprised if they don't have them at PowerCon and LegionsCon.
Right.
If depending on how much stock they have left.
Right. And I'm pretty patient with stuff. Like, you know, I don't mind waiting for certain things. You know, some people are like, "Oh man, I ordered it. I gotta wait a year to get it." And
I've waited for years, and then I get things for a penny.
Yeah.
I've had so many movies for a penny on Amazon.
Yeah, patience with the Horseman is definitely, you know, if you don't get the pre-order, patience is definitely the key. And you're close enough to a bunch of shows, you know, that you can get them for good prices.
Yeah. We lucked out, especially
quite a bit.
Yeah, with the Heroes Con, man. That was crazy. They were just like, we're gonna be at Heroes Con, and I was like, dang, that's in Charlotte, man. We used to live in Charlotte. It's like right down the road. But yeah, we are in a pretty good area. We picked a good like middle of the country hub when we were moving, because we used to live in Panama City, Florida, where that's where we're originally from, is like the Panhandle and stuff, you know. And when we moved up here, because I lived in North Carolina for like a couple months when I got out of high school with one of my uncles in the mountains and stuff. And I was like, man, I love it up here. I just want to come back. You know, I never want to go back to Florida. And I ended up going back to Florida for a while. And then when me and Stevie got together, I convinced her to come up here one summer just to check it out. You know, let's go up to Charlotte and check it out, and you know, and the mountains and stuff. And yeah, she's like, "Ooh, I love it up there. There's a wrestling school there too, so let's go." So yeah,
that's why we ended up in Charlotte, because I wanted to be near wrestling.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you able to, like, with the wrestling school, are you able to like go in and see what they're doing and stuff? Do they allow you to like?
You got to set up an appointment and stuff, but yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, they would let people come in and stuff and check it out.
That's cool. That's pretty neat.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a pretty good, pretty renowned wrestling school in the area. You know, High Spots Wrestling. They do a lot of different stuff. They also sell like gear and stuff like that too. So and action figures and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's an interesting company.
I never ended up going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you moved there for it and didn't see it, huh?
Yeah, Charlotte was rough, man. We went through a lot of crap in Charlotte, and it was one of them things where we were trying to get out this way towards Asheville almost the whole time we were out there. And like when we finally got out here, it was like, oh, this big sigh of relief, and oh my God. And yeah, everything did change. It got way better. You know, things started looking up for us and stuff. And then the pandemic hit. And then, you know, for everybody, it was all weird, but it kind of was good for us because that's when our YouTube, you know, started getting, and it just like, you know, took off from there. I do wish that we would have recorded stuff in Charlotte, because we went to quite a few different like horror conventions and stuff when we were in Charlotte.
We went to a lot of ICP and Twisted shows.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, we went to a lot of different concerts and stuff out there. It was cool. Stevie got to meet China like a month or a week.
No, it was 2 weeks before she passed away.
Oh wow.
We met China.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And I got to meet Tom Savini, which was awesome. That was very like nerve-wracking for me. Like I got so nervous around celebrities and stuff. It was crazy.
I was like, "Can I shake your hand?" She was like, "Yeah." I was like,
Have you ever gotten to meet Ron Perlman?
No, no.
You'd think. I got to meet him at Steel City Con a couple years ago because I love Hellboy. I had just been watching Sons of Anarchy. He's always playing these tough, gruff guys, right? I kid you not. I shook his hand. That was the softest hand I have ever shaken in my entire life. It was really nice guy, but I was like, man, this hand is. I mean, I didn't expect it to be Hellboy's, like stone fist or anything.
Yeah.
Like
you did expect that. You know it.
You did.
It's like wrestlers. They're like the best smelling dudes in the world. You wouldn't think so.
A wrestling handshake is this. It's this. That's a wrestling handshake. That's how wrestlers shake hands.
Very
I'm
gentle,
dead serious.
gentle and smell good.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on almost an hour and a half here. I know you guys said you had a hard out tonight, so give you guys a chance to like plug your stuff. Anything you want to promote, tell the folks about. Take it away.
Well, what is today? Sunday? We have a video that comes out tomorrow at 3:45. It's the final video of our Atlanta trip that we just did for Dwayne's birthday.
Yep, which was
nice.
January 14th. And we just kind of spent the whole weekend in Atlanta and stuff. And that was a lot of fun. And then after that, Friday is my painting video, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So his first painting video will be coming out this
Awesome.
Yeah. It's nothing big. I was just like, I might as well record while I'm painting it, and put it up. Might as well, because I'm really having a lot of fun with this, and it's really fun to actually just go into hobby stores and like, paint, and start looking at paints and stuff, and like it's just another thing to look at, It's great.
I love it because I always was into arts and crafts, so it's like bringing it back out in me, and I'm like, yes, let's do this.
Awesome.
Pretty cool. And we go live every Wednesday at 8:05.
Yep.
Cool. And what are your lives about, or what does that entail?
Lately we've been kind of switching them out. Like we do, usually we're just kind of sitting there chilling and talking and stuff
about toys.
And then we started doing where every other Wednesday we'll do like a game. Like I've been playing Resident Evil 2 remake, and I'll play a game or something, just to kind of switch it up, because I do like to play video games every once in a while, and I don't really find time to do it, so it's like, well, I'll stream it. I'll just play something and stream it.
Anything we're interested in doing, we just put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Any big shows that you guys are going to in the near future or anything? Any cons coming up?
We have the Charlotte Mini Cons coming up, Heroes Cons coming up, Mad Monster Party is coming up, Toylanta.
That's
oh my god.
We might be going to ICCC,
or we might be going to Carolina Fear Fest because they're the exact same weekend. So I'm waiting for somebody to message me back about a press pass.
There you go.
What was the first one? ICCC.
Yeah, it's like I guess it's a big like sci-fi convention in Nashville.
It's in Nashville,
and they usually get like it's a bunch of Star Wars focused people. I know last year they had like the voice of Ahsoka from Clone Wars and like Anakin and stuff like that. So yeah, one of our friends actually went and was like pressed there, and he had a really good time. He's a big Star Wars guy, so
cool,
very cool.
Yeah,
excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. This was a
lot
lot of fun. Getting to hear more about your story and
yeah, man. Definitely. Thank you for having us, man. It's been crazy. This is the first time anyone's ever invited us to do anything like this. So
interview.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always unsure, like asking folks who have their own channels and their own platforms and I'm like, why would they want to come over here? But I'm like, well, I want to talk to them. And,
hey.
Curtis, we're back and forth picking people and stuff. So it's just like,
that's cool.
Just have a talk with these people. And it's fun. So thank you very much for joining us. And hopefully I'll make it to PowerCon. So if you guys go there, I'll see you again there this summer.
Yeah, and I don't know that I'll make it, but I will definitely see you guys at LegionsCon for sure. And it was awesome learning about you guys and getting used to your channel and stuff. Just kind of doing. I think I've started on a rabbit hole of going down your old videos. So
have fun. Click away.
Yeah.
Click away. I think we should all go to Jollibee when we go to Jersey.
There you go. That's an idea.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Just rally the troops.
Thanks again, guys. We'll let you scoot on out. Curtis and I are going to keep chatting for a little bit, but thank you guys for joining us. Have a great night. Check these guys out on Destination Stone on Instagram and YouTube.
Yep.
And
we have a Facebook now too.
And Facebook. So Destination Stone.
Destination Stone.
Yep.
There you go.
There we are.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night.
Yep. You too.
That was fun.
That was a lot of fun. That was really cool. And yeah, so folks in the chat, if you want to stick around, Curtis and I are going to talk for a little bit longer just about some stuff. So if you have any questions, any thoughts, feel free to fire some stuff away. Curtis, will ask you real quick what any not feedback, but from your live with Jeremy today in the Wolf Den.
It was a lot of fun. He basically was talking about how to build your character and just some different ideas on how to create, this image in your head on what you want to make. So there's a lot of good tips and questions in there that he said that, he asks himself from a customizing standpoint, as well as just working from the studio when they're creating characters. So, if you're kind of struggling, you're customizing, but you're having some trouble with creating a character, or you'd like some tips on how to do it, it was a great video, I thought. Not just because I was a part of it, but I think, because really Jeremy did all the work. I was just kind of there to help facilitate the conversation. But I thought he presented some really great material, and I could definitely see where the tips and ideas that he had there would be very helpful for somebody that's trying to put, a character together. So
yeah, absolutely. I was there. I was painting stuff while you guys were doing it, so I wasn't super interactive in the chat, but I was listening to everything, and I realized, like, I don't have a formula or a procedure when I'm creating stuff, going all the way back to when I was a kid, but so I don't have that checklist of points that he was going through, but I pretty much ask all those same questions or versions of those same, things. So it was, yeah. So I was like, oh, cool. I'm kind of right in there. So like that,
And so, he said in the video, he said, there's some times where he doesn't even ask those questions because he sees a certain part, or he sees something happens to where he's inspired and he doesn't need to ask those questions because he already has a clear idea of where he's going. But I think, if you're kind of struggling with that, those things can definitely be helpful for sure. So it's on the Wolf Den now. We will be putting that on the Wolf King Customs page as well, which is something we're starting to slowly try to build that out. It's not going to be, really different content than what's on the Wolf Den, but it's going to just be easier to find those videos. So like, I know that like we've done. Go ahead.
You say Wolf King page, you mean Wolf King
YouTube. Yeah. The YouTube page, we've had it out there for a couple of years, but we really haven't done anything with it. I just recently started adding some of the old tutorials that Steven's done. I actually filmed one for one on painting dark flesh tones this weekend. I've edited it, but I still have to do the voiceover. Hey there. So that will be going on there. And then this one with Jeremy will be going on there. So, if you're in the den, you'll be able to access all this stuff. But like one of the ones I posted from Steven, was like goblin painting. And even Steven was like, I don't even remember doing that. It's been like a year and a half. And so if you're trying to find that on Facebook, it's not the easiest thing to find.
Yeah.
So this is just a quicker way for people to access those videos for sure. So
yeah, Danny, I'm the same way. I have this one weapon. I've got it with a piece, Wolf King pieces for a figure. it's not a Wolf King piece, but it's got a wolf element in it, and it's going
Mhm.
with like the Lupus Rex figure that Len did, or I'm not sure. I don't know who made those pieces, but he's selling them.
I'm not sure who made that either, to be honest.
But I have this weapon, I really want to use it, but every time I get to it, the figure I put it with like becomes something completely different, and that weapon no longer fits that character. So
yeah, I've got one right now that I've kind of showed you some pictures on, but I really haven't told a lot of people about. That I saw this head from Len, and as soon as I saw the head, like this tribute figure kind of popped into my head, and I'm like, I've got to do that. And that's one of the things that Jeremy talked about in the video too, that if you're doing like an homage or tribute figure, you may not need to go down through that whole checklist, because you kind of have already a vision of what that character should look like.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the path that I'm on with that. But then there's other ones where I'm just building something from scratch. And so, you got to figure out what that story is. And we actually, not sure if you caught it, but one of the things that he talked about, it was right at the beginning, really, when he's talking about selecting your race and class. And he was talking about, thinking about the things that, sorry about that, think about the things that go along with, that was the X-Men.
Oh no, I got it. I heard it.
I know it's not your favorite, but
it's not triggering.
That's my ringtone. But he was talking about race and class, and like for instance, if you select a dwarf character, there's certain stereotypes that go with dwarf characters that you typically are accustomed to seeing. You're going to have probably a beard. Maybe they like ale. Maybe they whatever. And then sometimes you want to try to turn those things on its head and like make it different. And so one of the things that I brought up was like your hulked out fuzzmonk. It's like when you think of a fuzzmonk, you don't really think of this big, scary, muscly, so when you do something to the opposite of that, it is kind of cool and it stands out. When they made Tharnog a heroic orc, well, you don't see a whole lot of heroic orcs. So then it's like, okay, what's this guy's story? Like what, tell me more about it. It makes it a little bit more interesting. So
yeah,
good stuff there.
Yeah, no, I like that. I was like, is he talking about my figure in this thing with Jeremy? Like, what are you doing, Curtis? Stop it.
But it was a good example. It was like the way he was talking about it, and like he's like, yeah, you kind of go against the stereotypes, and I'm like, that's the perfect example. Like in my head, that was like, yeah.
Danny can probably correct me on the name, but there is a character in one of the Drizzt books. It's a dwarf, and he's completely the opposite of what you normally think of with dwarves. He's got really fancy clothes. He was only like a secondary character with another group of characters in that book, and I guess that group is their own set of characters and other stories, but like he's just really fancy. He doesn't like getting dirty. So like when his shirt gets dirty, like in this fight, he like loses his mind and he's trying to like clean it and everything. And I just love that he was that much of like a fidgety, fussy, primpy dwarf. Cause like it's so different than what you it wasn't quite like what's his name in the Hobbit movie, the one that was like the older brother of the 1-3, where he's like offering Gandalf the wine glass, and he had like the really intricately like nicely braided gray beard.
Right.
Yeah. But it's fun mixing stuff up. Yeah. It's when Tharnog, exactly. I saw him and I was like, man, he doesn't look like a bad guy. And then I read the bio and I'm like, oh, he's not a bad guy. Like,
right.
Cool. Because I was hoping that in my mind, some of the orcs would go good. And then I started reading the bios. I'm like, oh, maybe Queen Urska and her group are going to like break off and they'll be opposing the Legion of Erethyr and stuff. But
it was a cool discussion. It was one of those things where I think it was either right before LegionsCon or at LegionsCon, where Jeremy's like, hey, I'd like to do, one of those, live streams in the den and kind of talk about character creation. And I was like, okay, cool. That would be great. And I just left it at that because I just assumed, he's got a busy schedule. And I just figured whenever he had time, he would just pop in and do it.
Yeah.
Well, then, it's been a couple months since then. And he reached out to me last weekend and he's like, so are you still okay with doing this live stream? I'm like, oh yeah, I thought, I didn't know he wanted me to be a part of it. I'm like, I just thought you were just going to go live and do it. He's like, no, he's like, you've been doing a good job raising awareness and doing these educational things in the Wolf Den. So I definitely want you to be there. I was like, oh yeah, whenever. And he's like, well, how about next weekend? I was like, okay, sure. Let's do it. But yeah, he did all the work on that. I was really just there to kind of facilitate the conversation, but I learned a lot for sure. So I hope other people find it valuable.
Yeah, I think it was really good. And again, like I was saying, as someone who, I've been writing and coming up with characters and stories since I was like a kid. It's just something that's always there. And as I've gotten older, I've realized these are a lot of the things I've been doing story-wise. I wasn't thinking so much about facial expressions or the very, the static parts of the Legions customizing. But so I was like, oh, cool. I eventually got to all these points and this is how he does it. So I'm like, okay. I feel like I'm doing some stuff. Okay. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of good stuff in there for folks who, I think it breaks it down in a way where it makes it less scary. So like if you follow like the D&D character creation kind of process, not that you have to do it chapter and verse out of the book, but race, class, what do they do? Okay. That descends what kind of weapons they have. I think that's a really good way to break down and build a character if you don't have a specific thing in mind.
Yeah. And I think for me, I never played D&D, but I played a lot of World of Warcraft, and it's kind of the same thing. Like you start out with a character and it's like, okay, race, class, and then within the class, like what's your specialty within that class? Like if okay, let's say I'm a dwarf and I'm a warrior, but am I a tank? Am I, somebody that's like dual wielding? Like what is, so you start out with those kind of things, and it can help you put the rest of it together for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I've just recreated my second and third D&D characters over the last couple of weeks because our 8-year campaign finally ended. We were creating new characters. It's a different world. There's different limitations, some different rules and everything. So it's interesting trying to learn how it does. And I know when we had Pete on, he was talking about D&D a lot, and we had a lot of people talking about being interested in doing a D&D thing. I haven't forgot about that. I have a list. I'm just trying to think of a way to get this put together, because I think there was like 10 people on that list. I don't know if all 10 people in one game is going to be a practical thing.
Right.
So trying to figure out a way to run this, but trying to work some of the races and things into Mythos, make it a Mythic Legions, Mythos campaign. People can like make their own characters out of pop and swap, to use as their character references or what. But yeah, we'll figure out a way to make that happen. I'll probably be sending out invitations to a Facebook group and try to get it started that way. But just that character creation is so much fun. And once the tactic game comes out and people can do the customizing, I know it'll be limited on races, but to an extent limited on what races you can play in the game, I think.
Well, it's like there's just going back to kind of the World of Warcraft aspect, there's a lot of times where I created a character and I spent more time on the character creation screen than I did actually playing that character. Like I may not even have leveled the character at all, but I just enjoyed that character creation aspect of it. Yeah. And the same thing I think I've mentioned on here before, like I used to play wrestling video games, and it was really just for the creator wrestler aspect of it. And I would go in there and, like if it was, let's say it was a game that came out in 2016, it's going to have the current roster for 2016. It's not going to have, unless there's, kind of like a special thing that they did, they're not going to have like the older wrestlers and stuff. So I would go in and create those older wrestlers. Right. And so I would spend, days, weeks, months, just creating the characters and never even wrestle with them, So I think when that game comes out, that aspect of the, the customizing tool, I think they're calling it, is going to be really neat for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I'm working on that, trying to work into like the fuzz monks. I'm gonna they're basically gonna be an existing thing in D&D, but I'll add a couple things to it just to help give it a little mythos flavor, But like the humans and the dwarfs will all use the basic stats from the game, but that's down the road. I haven't forgotten about that for any of you who are watching that did express interest in that. It looks like Destination Stone's still with us a little bit, saying that that's the best part of those games. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit and bring up a picture here.
This guy.
We don't do a lot of news here because so many other great places cover the news a lot better than we can. And by the time we do our show, everybody's already done it. But I think we were both pretty impressed by this week. I mean, I know for sure I was. So this is, is it? I forget the name already. Dimitros.
Was it Demonstros or I don't know? It's something like that.
Yeah. So the cool thing about this is it's a PowerCon figure from the Four Horsemen, but it's not one of their PowerCon debut figures like they normally do. This is going to be available through the PowerCon booth, not through the Horseman booth. So it's unique, and they're saying it's not part of Mythic Legions or Cosmic Legions. It is Mythic parts, but it's its own thing. So I don't know. Is this going to be?
It's not Figure Obscura either. So it's
they did specify. Okay, I hadn't seen if they specified that or not. So I don't know enough He-Man lore to have. I saw some people guessing this might be some sort of Scareglow or
my
Demo Man.
What I heard was that because PowerCon has gone past. It's no longer just a Masters of the Universe show. And so it is not my understanding. It's not related to He-Man.
Okay.
That this is a for PowerCon as a show, and I guess they have another show exclusive that they're doing this year that they've already revealed, and I don't remember what its name was, but I think they just kind of have these show exclusives that are for the show, but they're not really tributes or anything like that. So what I heard today on the My Wife Is Going to Kill Me podcast is that this does not replace what they're doing with the PowerCon debut figures,
right?
So it sounds like we're probably still going to get those, but this is just something additional that PowerCon will sell itself. It's not even being sold by Four Horsemen. So
so the PowerCon last year, I don't remember their specific booth, but this will be their own thing. The other one was one of the Sparrow Toys, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. It was the gorilla, the large gorilla that looked, it was very Beastman colors.
Yeah.
And what's up, Jay? I don't know how long you've been here, but Dwayne was talking about you as being one of the things that got him into Mythic Legion. So it's all your fault, Jay.
And he's right. That does look good as Bone. And I've seen, right as soon as Belphegor came out, there were people painting this up as Bone, and it is a really good look. I like, we haven't seen this whole figure yet, so I don't know what else is going on with the body, but just the mix that we're already getting, you've got those pauldrons that we've seen on a few different figures at this point. Now you've got that neck piece that I believe is from the new Baron Voligar. Yep. And then you've got the Belphegor that is painted with the bone colors, with those green eyes. It's definitely a cool look for sure.
Yeah. So. And Danny's asking an exclusive or exclusive debut. It's like the other con exclusives, so like the LegionsCon exclusives.
Yep.
We don't know what yet, but something about this figure will be different at the show, but there will be a standard version. I'm assuming it'll probably come with two heads or something that makes it unique for the convention. It's PowerCon, so like LegionsCon, Legion Shop sells the LegionsCon figures after. If they still have any of these left, I don't know how PowerCon's going to handle that, but that's their thing, not a Horseman thing.
They did say that there is going to be a standard release down the
line. But there'll be a standard release from the Four Horsemen, like the Furious Four packs coming in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sure there might be some sort of difference, whether it's a packaging difference or, like with the Furious 4, you had the cat head and cat tail, which you don't get in the standard release. Maybe
or the
something
unknown
similar
one
like that with this one.
Yeah. So maybe this is going to have another head at the con, and it won't come with that other head. That's just me guessing. It's not any knowledge. But yeah, they did say something would be different about it, but it would be have a standard release later on.
So, well, first of all, I got something else to talk about, but did you have anything else on this first?
Not specifically.
Okay. So wanted to talk a little bit about Mythic Legion figures, strategy, money, budgeting. I know that you've already kind of talked about, kind of your budgeting strategy and things like that this year. And as like, I went in the garage the other day, and I think I've got I want to say I got like 50 boxed figures just sitting in the garage that are waiting to be customized or whatever. And I know, I think I saw Eric LeBron was talking about this, that he was looking at not only what he's got in boxes, but what he's got coming in. We've got 4 or 5 waves on pre-order that will be coming in at some point. And so, as I think about the rest of this year, and looking at a figure like that, I'm like, man, this is a cool figure. It's got a lot of great parts, but I think I'm only going to buy one. And I think for me, that's something new, because I've typically in the past, it's like, okay, how many of these do I need? And I get several of them. On Necronominous Wave, I went pretty crazy with the Sir Elijahs and got an extra tuberculosis or whatever that thing is called. But I think for the rest of this year, I'm definitely all in on everything Mythic Legions does, or Figure Obscura, Cosmic, anything Four Horsemen does, I'm all in. But I think, with the exception of anything Legion Builder that comes out, I'm gonna try to limit myself to one. That's my goal for this year, is one of everything, with the exception of if it's a cheap Legion Builder with the the lowered paint apps and it's a cheaper price, and I can get, for instance, I was doing a character this weekend. I needed to steal the wrist wraps from Varg, and I've only got one Varg. And so I had to steal it, and then I had to give him spiky wrist guards, and that's just the way he's going to have to be. But let's say that they put out a new Legion Builder figure that had those wrist wraps, and I could get it at $25 or whatever. May load up on a few of those, but other than that, like named characters, the regular $37 price, I think the rest of the year I'm going to try to limit myself to just one. And dare I even say it, if they come out with another wave that has a couple horses, I may not even get an all in, because I've got so many dang horses at this point that I don't know that I need another one. So that was just kind of some of the thoughts that I was having this week. Wanted to run that by you, see what you thought about that. And I don't know.
I think that's every a conversation every collector customizer has to have with themselves, about what, do we need any of this stuff? No, but for a lot of us, the customizing, the community aspect, the photography, the storytelling, like that, it's more than just having stuff. Like it's an extra outlet for a lot of us. I know for you and I, especially, we've talked about that many times. But yeah, it's a serious thing to talk about, especially with how much, and this is not a dig on how much they're putting out, because it's all good, but with Mythic Legions, I've never had that I gotta have it all, especially going backwards. Mentally, collector wise, every time a wave comes out, I want to get an all in, but I haven't been able to do an all in yet. So you gotta be practical, live within your means. If you're in an area where you can get to shows, and you can get them at basically the same price as they are in the pre-order, it actually works out better if you can get them at a show, because then you don't have to pay shipping. If you have that option. But yeah, I try to stick to like what you said, and I know someone had a post in the Cabal that kind of went a different way with that, but how the characters were getting detailed. And I think Jeremy talked about it in your stream today.
Mm-hmm.
Like Necronominus, like I don't need multiple Necronominuses.
Mm-hmm. Like a good one for me, this to me the perfect example of this in my head is Azahazar. Like I look at Azahazar with the green and the cracks and the lines and all this kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a beautiful character. I love it. I mean, it's probably my favorite or second favorite from that wave, but I don't need more than one. Like there's nothing
Right.
There's nothing about that I go, man, I need to have 5 of those to break down for parts or whatever. And that's one of the things that I was, like, I'm like, if I can get a Legion builder for $25 and I can get some extra, whether it's leather pauldrons or the poppable chest plate or some wrist guards or something, if I can get that on a Legion builder figure, great. But I don't know that I want to keep spending $37 on named figures just to break apart. Yeah. Especially when I've got 50 of them out in the garage. And it's a change for me because, when you first get in the line, like you just need bodies, like if you're customizing, you just need bodies. And so I was hitting up Big Bad Toy Store and I'm hitting up, eBay and all this kind of stuff. Well, then as that pre-order train starts rolling in and these things are coming in on a regular basis, and now you're building up a backlog, then it's like, man, at this point, I probably have more figures than I could actually make customs all year. If no other order came in, I probably am not going to make 50 full customs this year.
Yeah.
So, do I need to really buy 10 of a Sir Elijah? I don't know, but I wanted to. But yeah. So that's
and I get the excitement with him because he's new. He's all new parts, and I know you love the Templars, but even if you don't use him as a Templar, that's a whole new Night Buck system they've got going on there.
Yeah.
Yes, there probably will be the more toned down, Legion builder version of that, or that uses a lot of those parts down the road.
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, over the past, say 4 or 5 months, I've probably given away more figures than I've actually used for customizing.
Wow.
Like, because I just, like somebody will say that they need something, I'll send it off to them, or I'll say, hey, shoot me your address or whatever. Or, I'll make a trade with somebody and I'll try to just kind of sweeten the deal and throw in a, couple extras or whatever. Like, I've now got this backlog of figures and I'm like, how can I give this to somebody that needs it or whatever? So that's what I've been doing mostly. So like with those Sir Elijahs, I wouldn't be surprised if I give half of those away. So it's just, but yeah, I don't know. There was just something I was thinking about this. Yeah.
Save some of that stuff for, we'll do some giveaway on here at some point.
Yeah, that works too.
And I'll throw something in, maybe throw some custom pieces in.
It's like, at LegionsCon, I got some extra unknown ones and I did a giveaway. Like I was not even home yet. I was on the way home and, I did a thing on the Cabal and said, hey, I'm going to give one of these away and we're going to do a thing. And we did a drawing for that. And I got an extra Furious 4 that I had the guys all sign and I'm holding that back. At some point, we're going to give that away in the Wolf Den. I don't know what for, but we're kind of holding that back for some sort of special event. But, yeah, I mean, I like to do that and kind of pay it forward a little bit, but I don't know. I think in terms of just buying things, I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful this year. I don't think I can go as hard as I have. Even if it wasn't financially, even if it wasn't for money, just the space, like just, getting so much stuff backed up right now, but I don't know, just something I was thinking. I figured it would be a neat little discussion to have.
No, absolutely. I have 2 shelves right above my computer, and I had all my pieces that like kind of assembled customs that I wanted to put together, but that I haven't gotten to paint yet. And I took them all out, and they're in like a couple of comic short boxes now. Because it's like, I wanted those shelves, like I need to have those shelves open so that when I get stuff done, I can move stuff in there. So it was just like, man, I have almost 4 comic short boxes full of parts and pieces that aren't my fodder bins. Like these are ones that are planned custom that are already kind of
Right.
like stitched together. So it's like, I have a lot to work with. Like, I don't,
Well,
I keep getting
yeah,
other ideas. That's the problem. I see new stuff and I'm like, ooh, and Wolf King and
right.
Legion Shop and Toy Forge drop these great parts. I'm like, oh, I got to get that. I'm like, no, you've got like 40 other figures to work on right now. Calm down.
And I think there's a difference between like having that need to create and then having to keep and display that figure. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain customs where I create that I definitely want to keep and I want it in my collection. And there's other ones. It's like I just have a bug to create this thing. And then if I sell it afterwards, it's not going to break my heart, And so I think it's, understanding where that is. And even just like standard figures out of the box, like, I have been all in on everything, but then I look I look at my Xylonis flock behind me, and it's like Bryophytus. I don't like that figure. Why do I have him taking up space in my display when I could have something else in there that's cool? So like and I'll just some people may have seen that you got that package for me with the Apharius. I just don't like it. I'm not an Apharius guy. I'm not the whole centaur thing. I wasn't a fan. So I'm sitting here looking at this thing in my display and I'm like, why do I have this thing? I don't even want it in here. So I think what I'm going to do is just start to be a little bit pickier on what I'm keeping, what I'm having on display, for space reasons and financially. I think that's kind of be my goal as I move forward into this year. So
nice.
Yeah.
No, that's a good conversation to have with yourself. A good, a good thing to stop and think about, especially, if money is a budget concern, for folks, I know a lot of the shows and we do it, we promote the pre-sales, we promote, the drops and all that stuff, but it's more just like an excitement for like, we're not getting any kickback from that. I mean, Jeremy's the director of sales and marketing. Like it's literally his job to talk about this stuff. It's, like I don't want anybody ever watching our show to feel like we're pressuring you to buy stuff.
Oh,
like,
no, not at all.
If you can and it's in your means and you want it, go for it.
Well,
if not, save up and pay a couple dollars more, get it from a retailer, or if you're local enough to a show, go to a show.
I think it's one of those things too. It's like you kind of get an education as you move through this process. Like, before I got into Mythic Legions, I was like a lot of people where all I see was the eBay prices and think, man, these things are too expensive. And then you find out that they're on Big Bad Toy Store and you can get them for $50. And it's like, okay, that's not bad. I'll buy them for $50. Then you find out you can get them for 37. It's like, oh, that's even better. I can get them for 37. And then I think I got spoiled when with Legion Build, the Legion Builder ones come out and it's like, I can get these for 25. And I can, it's got the same kind of parts. Granted, they don't have the same paint apps, but I'm going to paint them anyway. So, as I have moved through it, it's like I will not buy anything from Big Bad Toy Store. And it's not because there's anything wrong with Big Bad Toy Store. It's just because I'm not going to pay $50 for a figure. But now I'm at the point where I don't even know that I want to pay 37 for some figure, like just to have the part.
Yeah.
If for the figure itself, absolutely. Like, you look at like Gideon Heaven's brand from this Necronominus wave, fabulous figure, $37 for everything that you've got in there and that great look. Like it's a bargain and a half. But do I need two? Do I need three? I don't think I do. I think one and I'm good. And if there's a certain part that he has that, I may want down the road, maybe it'll come out on Legion Builder. If it does, great. If not, whatever.
Right. Or it's crazy what people put up in the Cabal and we're like, oh, I'm just clearing out some, junk fodder pieces. And it's like, he's got like, someone was selling like before Artemis 2 came out, someone had like, I've got 3 of the, the silver cord bows. I'm like, I need one of those.
Right.
I didn't realize Artemis 2 was coming with one as well. So now I have a second one. Like I didn't realize it was a unique, I knew it was a unique sculpt. I didn't realize it was like a character item when I first saw it,
Right.
You just never know what people are going to put up in the Cabal, so if you want that eagle pauldron that he comes with, someone buying that figure is not going to want that.
Right.
and or they buy multiple and they're like, well, I only need one Gideon, but I wanted the body, or this, that.
Yeah, I saw people that were kind of splitting up headless horsemen. Like some person just wanted the horse, some person just wanted the figure, and it's like, well, let's buy it, and you get this part, and I get that part.
Sure.
Great, that works. So cool.
Absolutely. Well, we are running out right at 2 hours here, and I think I'm getting tired.
Nice.
I fell asleep at like 6 o'clock last night, woke up at 11:30, and then didn't get back to sleep till almost 3 this morning. So
one more thing for you before we sign off. Have you been watching Vikings Valhalla?
I have not finished the regular Vikings yet, so I have not started Valhalla.
I have not watched the regular, so you'll have to tell me if that's worth watching. I just started with Valhalla, and I just got through. They just released the season 2 like last week or the week before. Man, it's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
When I first saw the trailer for it, I was like, man, this guy looks so cocky and arrogant. Like this, I'm not going to like this show. And then one night I was really craving something to watch. I was trying to stay awake. I was working on a project, so I put it on in the background while I was sorting all my Legos that I had, like getting really. Anyway, I ended up I watched the first episode. I'm like, oh, I actually really like this. There's definitely parts that drag, and there's some story, like any show, some things drag on a little longer than it should, or aren't as interesting, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's great performances. And if you do watch Vikings, like the original seasons, if you ever get around to it, there's a kind of comedy on Netflix called Northmen, or is it Northmen? Or I think it's Northmen. No, Norsemen. I don't remember. It's like it's almost like it's almost like a mockumentary Office style retelling of the Viking show.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not quite the, the right on camera interview stuff, but just some of the dialogue. One guy, he's such a weaselly little guy, but like every time, like he'll say some like modern day like like catchphrase type of a thing. And Norsemen, that's what it's called. It is Norsemen. He'll say like a phrase like, early bird gets the worm. Everybody's saying that, and the person's like, who says that? Oh, everybody.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
It's funny, but like if you watch that before Vikings, like it's not a 1-to-1 comparison, but they do follow similar plot beats. But yeah, it's also like the setting, the costumes are all pretty good, but it's more of a comedy. But yeah, I'll have to check out Valhalla. I don't know. I think someone said you can probably watch that without having finished the first series.
I mean, I never saw the first series, so I can't tell you. But I mean, I was able to watch it without feeling like I was missing out on any story for sure.
Okay.
So, but whether it ruined something from the first series, I don't know. But yeah, it's really good though. I really have enjoyed it. And I will say for those out there that don't like, how should I say this? There's some aspects of Christianity in that show where it's like, you got to realize that there in the past have been some Christians that weren't very Christian-like, that weren't very good people. And so there's some parts of that where it's like, man, that really sucks that they were doing these things in the name of Christianity and stuff. And keep in mind too, it's not a historical documentary, it's a show, so it's made for that reason. But yeah, there's some stuff in there that if somebody is sensitive to that aspect of it, there's some stuff that might be a little bit bothersome for them.
Yeah, they deal with that in the first series. There's actually a major character in the first few seasons who is I can't remember if he was a monk or a priest of some sort that they like kind of take as a prisoner. and one of the main characters really takes him to heart, and like there's this really interesting bond that grows between them. And so like in that series it does show, like you're describing, some Christians being very unchristian like, but but then there are some really nice elements to it as well. So, and they are based in that series, some of the characters are based on actual historical people, obviously, very dramatized and everything, but it is pulled from actual history, at least in the first couple episodes or seasons rather.
Gotcha. Well, I didn't want to tie you up too much longer, but I wanted to see
okay.
at least if you were watching that, because that's a show that I really enjoyed. So I'm glad we talked, because now I will go back and watch the original series.
Yeah, it's good because it's got, I mean, the guy that plays what's his name in the Warcraft movie? The main hero character.
Yeah, I can't remember what his name was in that. Yeah, I can't remember.
But you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He like jumps on the griffin and flies away.
Yeah.
He's the central character in Vikings.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's pretty good, and definitely worth checking out. It's got one of my favorite female characters of all time in it. Several, but one, Lagertha. She's awesome.
Okay. Well, as soon as this is over, that's what I'm gonna go start watching. So I appreciate it.
Well, and I've been watching the Vox Machina season 2 on Amazon.
Yeah, I couldn't. Everybody loves that series, and I just can't get past the beginning of it. Like it's, and I don't mean to sound like a prudish fuddy-duddy here, but like it's so. Like, to me, I think I watched like the first like 2 episodes, and I'm like, this is so inappropriate that I can't keep going with this. and everybody tells me, well, you just get through that, and then it's, after that it gets better. And it's like, and it's kind of like, okay, Mrs. Lincoln, other than that, how'd you enjoy the play? Like, it's not worth, what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like,
sure, it's not going to speak to everybody.
Yeah. So, and it may be a great series. It may get so much better, but like, I'm just sitting there watching the first like episode or 2, and I'm like, I felt very uncomfortable watching it, if that makes any sense.
Okay. It's been so long since I watched the original season. Like, I do remember being like, it's pretty violent, right?
I was more talking about like the bard, like, kind of talking about sex and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just like,
that does, it's like Game of Thrones, like that eventually kind of evens out a little bit. But that's definitely part of his character, and for some reason bards in general in D&D are all horny sons of guns, or ladies of guns, whatever.
Yeah, I might try to push through it at some point, but my first go at it just didn't sit well with me. So
it definitely is like, hey, we're not a kids cartoon, and we really want you to know that.
Yeah. And if you're okay with this stuff, you're going to be okay with everything else we do. Like, we're going to hit you with the real bad stuff right at the beginning.
Yeah. It's good that like it's entertaining, like the characters, despite all of their flaws and so like they're really endearing characters now. Like, so I'm going back listening to the podcast to where it's almost 10 years ago that they started playing these characters in that game. So seeing like how they, like, it's not even to the point where they're in the show yet. Like it's so far back that but
well, and I think it's something that it's kind of a hang up for me as well, because like, for instance, I was really excited when the first Deadpool movie came out, and I wanted to watch it, and I even wanted to show my kids, and it came out with an R rating. I'm like, okay, and like I'll sit there and watch it, and like there's parts where he's chopping off his hand, and there's all kinds of violent stuff that doesn't bother me, but the 20-minute sex scene in there where it's like, I mean, they're like throughout a whole year and all these holidays, and I'm like, was that necessary? Like, did you have to do that? Like, what I'm saying? And like, couldn't you have just hinted at that without actually showing that? And so it's weird to me when I think about it, like, you're okay with all this violence, but you're not okay with, So I get that, and I understand that's my own hang up.
Sure.
But yeah, for some reason that kind of stuff just like I feel like it's not necessary. So
I think knowing similar backgrounds for us, like that's something like, especially those things are that subject matter just is something that really hits us, I think, differently than a lot of other people.
yeah.
You know, and yeah. And yeah.
It's just one of those, like if I'm watching an old movie and two characters go into a bedroom and then the next scene they're smoking a cigarette, you know what happened. You know, everybody knows what happened.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to, you know what I'm saying? Like you didn't have to go into graphic detail and show things. So that's kind of the mindset that I'm in. But I understand that, like I've had conversations with Emil that seems like to be a very American thing.
Yeah.
I guess, because like in other parts of the world, it's like the violence is like if you're watching Deadpool, the part that people would have problems with is the violence, not the sex part.
Right. Which is more of the movie than the other part.
Correct. So I don't know. Maybe it's, maybe it's a cultural hang up. Maybe it's just myself. But yeah, so that's part that I struggle with. But I like I said, I may at some point try to push through Vox Machina. But anyway.
And if you can't, you can't. Like I won't think any less of you as a person if you can't make it through Vox Machina. But
yeah,
I'm really enjoying that, and Last of Us, which I'm probably not going to get into that tonight. I'll try to get it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm enjoying that show.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with me a little bit longer. I know you're tired.
Who hates 80s movies, Douglas?
I don't hate 80s movies. I did. It's funny because like I try to do this thing where we do like a movie night with my family, and so I'll try to pick one from my childhood that I remember, and then like there will be a scene or something in it that I totally forgot about.
Yeah,
and then it would be like, oh well, let's fast forward by this part, So, but yeah,
it's funny. Like I don't think anything of Back to the Future, but I have friends who like are around our age. They show it to their like younger kids, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of language in that for a PG movie." I'm like,
right,
really? And then I watch it, and I'm like, if I'm paying attention, I pick up on it, but otherwise, I'm like, I don't. What? Like, what's wrong with Back to the Future? It's like a family movie. And it's like, oh wow, like how did I watch this as a kid with as
it's
conservative as my family was.
Do you have time for a really small story?
Yeah.
Okay. So I remember when I was in school, at one point we were coming to like the end of the semester, and we did our finals and stuff. And so we still had another day left, and we were going to like just have a day where we just watched a movie or something. And so the teacher was like asking for recommendations for a movie. And I remember I recommended Great Outdoors because I thought it was a funny movie, John Candy, and it was just, I just thought it was hilarious. And I forgot there's like a scene in there where like his wife does like this striptease kind of routine or something. And so like we're sitting there watching this in elementary school, and that comes up, and I'm like, I forgot all about this part. And I felt so bad. Like, yeah. Like the teacher just kind of fast forward through it. She didn't make a big deal out of it, but I felt so bad that I recommended that movie.
I made my mom go see Ace Ventura.
Yeah.
Because I thought it looked hilarious. I wanted to go see this comedy. She wanted to go see My Girl 2. And I was like, I don't want to see the other one. The first one was good. It was sad enough. Like, is she going to go kill some other kid with other insects? Like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
So I wore her down. She eventually said yes. So we went and saw that. And, I don't remember when that came out, but we went and saw it. I was so embarrassed by the time we walked out of that movie theater. And my mom was just, I don't think she didn't talk to me on the way home, but it was just that kind of like,
yeah.
I'm like I had no idea because I was so sheltered from the kind of sexual jokes in that movie that like,
yeah,
I didn't know that was a thing that was going to be in there,
Well, and it doesn't hold up well over time either because, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like now you get to the end of the movie and it's like, okay, so the trans person is the bad guy, and then everybody's making fun of it. It just doesn't hold up well for sure.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah. definitely had
Oh,
yeah.
Mark says he went to see something about Mary with his mom. Yeah, that
Yep.
would be a rough one. That's for sure.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll do a movie chat at some point down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll need to get somebody that's kind of a heck. Maybe we can get Destination Stone back on there. Sounds like they got like a bunch of movies. We can get them back on
Absolutely.
here and talk about movies.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you everybody for joining tonight. Our Destination Stone episode. I know Curtis and I kind of rambled on for a while afterwards, but if you were late and didn't get to see it, they were on for the first hour and a half or so. And you can check all their stuff out on Destination Stone on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and all of that. So really fun couple doing their toy hunts and adventures together. Curtis, anything else for Wolf King or anything for you that you want to plug?
like I said, I do have a tutorial that'll be coming out that'll be on the Wolf King Customs YouTube page here shortly. But other than that, no, nothing really coming up. We do have the shop is open right now. I know there's a bunch of parts dropped at Wolf King on Friday. So if you're a customizer, you haven't checked that out yet, definitely go to Wolf King and check that out for sure. But nothing new coming up that I know of right off on the horizon. So,
all right. So we'll
also Masterversal Toy Hunter says, don't forget to hit that like button.
Yes.
So good call out. Appreciate that. We usually forget that.
Him and Douglas. Well, that's just been my thing. I think I was intentionally not doing that for so long, but I'm going to say it now. Hit that like and subscribe button.
There you go.
Just so I can sound like every other YouTube channel. No.
What about you, Jesse? What you got going on Thursday this week?
Thursday, I'm jumping back into the Races of Mythos on Mythic Minute. I'm not sure which race I'm going to do this week. Yeah, kind of went off script this past week and just did a free for all. But
and any of your shows coming up with Oz soon?
I think we've got the next Legions class on Ostradamus. Legions class is like mid-February.
Okay.
Oh, I do. Yes, I have one more thing to show.
Okay.
We're announcing next week's guest because we're doing this now.
Nice.
Next week, what is that? February 4th? I don't know dates. February 5th, 9 p.m. Nate Strong, a.k.a.
Corona 4.
Thank you. I almost said Corona beer.
Yeah.
But yes, next Sunday night, Nate Strong, 9 p.m. right here on Shooting the Shelf with me and Curtis.
May even get to see his butler bringing him drinks and whatnot. So
yes.
Yeah. So
oh man, how awkward is it going to be when we see Steven walk through the background?
Nice.
No. All right. Curtis, thank you so much for playing co-host with me. Everyone in the chat, I apologize if I didn't get to call you out, but thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And hope you guys have a great rest of your week and weekend, and we'll see you next time. And as always, what's on your shelf? Oh, wait, do we have an outro? I have an outro.